You didn't buy oil today, but oil bought something from you and you didn't even notice. It took a little from your grocery bill, a little from your electricity bill, a little from the price of that delivery that showed up at your door. Oil didn't ask permission. It never does. And until you understand exactly how petroleum moves through the price of everything you eat, you'll keep wondering why your grocery cart feels heavier every month, even though you're buying the same things. Let's fix that right now. Most people think oil prices affect what they pay at the fuel pump. Full stop. That's where the mental model ends. That's the wrong mental model. Oil is not just fuel. Oil is the invisible infrastructure underneath the entire global food system. It is in the fertilizer that grows the crop. It is in the pesticide that protects it. It is in the tractor that harvests it. It is in the truck that moves it. It is in the plastic that wraps it. It is in the refrigeration unit that keeps it cold. It is in the ship that crossed the ocean with it. By the time a tomato reaches your kitchen counter, it has been touched by petroleum at least a dozen times. You never see it, you never smell it, but you pay for every single one of those touches, every time you check out. Here's how the mechanism actually works, step by step. When crude oil prices rise, the first thing that gets hit is fertilizer. Modern fertilizers, the ones responsible for feeding the majority of the world's population, are manufactured almost entirely from natural gas and petroleum derivatives. Nitrogen-based fertilizers, which are used on virtually every large-scale crop on Earth, require enormous amounts of natural gas to produce. When energy costs spike, fertilizer manufacturers pass that cost forward. Farmers pay more to grow the same crop. And farmers, like any business, pass that cost forward too. But it doesn't stop at the farm. The food then has to move. And moving anything, anywhere, requires diesel. Trucks, trains, cargo ships. The global logistics network runs almost entirely on oil. When oil prices rise 20%, freight costs rise. Port handling costs rise. Cold chain transportation costs rise. Every link in the supply chain from farm to shelf gets more expensive simultaneously. And every one of those cost increases eventually collapses into the same place: the price tag on the shelf in front of you. Then there's packaging: the plastic container your yogurt comes in, the wrapper on your bread, the tray under your chicken, all petroleum derivatives. When crude oil prices rise, plastic production costs rise. Food companies absorb some of it. They pass the rest to you, sometimes in price, sometimes in portion size. That second one has a name: shrinkflation. You're paying the same amount for less food, and the oil price spike you forgot about 3 months ago is quietly the reason. Now, here's the part that most people completely miss: the lag effect. When oil prices spike in March, you don't feel it at the checkout in March. You feel it in June, sometimes September, because the food system operates on long lead times. The farmer bought fertilizer months before harvest. The shipping contract was signed weeks before the cargo moved. The food manufacturer locked in packaging costs last quarter. This lag is why people get confused. Oil prices drop, and they think, great, groceries should get cheaper. And then the grocery bill stays stubbornly high. That's not a conspiracy. That's supply chain math. The expensive inputs from 6 months ago are only now arriving on shelves. The relief, when it comes, travels on the same delayed timeline. This is also why oil price spikes are so much more damaging than they appear in the moment. You're not just paying for today's crude oil price. You're paying for the crude oil price from several months ago, compounding across every layer of the supply chain simultaneously. So what do you actually do with this information? First, watch oil prices the way most people watch weather forecasts. Not obsessively, but with enough attention that you're not blindsided. When Brent crude climbs sharply and sustains above a certain threshold, you have a 3 to 6 month window before that pressure hits your grocery bill meaningfully. Use that window. Stock non-perishables. Lock in bulk purchases on staples. Adjust your household budget before the squeeze arrives. Second, understand the difference between a price spike and a structural shift. A hurricane that disrupts Gulf of Mexico production for 2 weeks is noise. A sustained geopolitical conflict affecting a major oil-producing region, that's signal. The house-sell principle applies here too. Ignore the volatility, track the direction. Third, build flexibility into how you eat. This isn't about deprivation. It's about understanding that highly processed, heavily packaged, long-distance transported food is the most oil-exposed food on your plate. Locally sourced, minimally packaged, seasonal food carries far less petroleum embedded in its price. Every time you buy a food with a shorter supply chain, you're partially insulating yourself from the oil market. None of this means you should panic every time crude oil ticks upward, but it does mean you should stop thinking of oil as a separate category, something that only matters when you're filling up the car. Oil is woven into the price of nearly everything you consume. The sooner you see it, the sooner you stop being surprised by your grocery bill and start making decisions that put you slightly ahead of a system most people never bother to understand. You didn't buy oil today, but now at least you know exactly what it bought from you. If this made something click, share it with someone who still thinks oil is just a petrol pump problem. If you want to say something on this comment below, subscribe so you don't miss any video like this. See you in the next one.